All right, today we're tackling something really out there. We're looking at a source that claims the most famous equation in all of science isn't just about physics. It's supposedly a blueprint for something ancient, something divine. Think about it. E equals mc squared. It gave us nuclear power, it changed the world. But what if it was hiding a secret? Something way older and way more profound than we ever thought. Well, that's exactly what the source material we're looking at today suggests. That this absolute cornerstone of modern physics is a sacred code, a blueprint for divine unity. Sounds wild, I know. So let's get into it. Okay, so our journey starts right here. We're going to look at this famous equation, but not just as a math problem. We're going to treat it like a language, one that might just describe the fundamental structure of, well, everything. So we all kind of know the basics, right? E is energy, the power to make things happen. M is mass, the actual stuff in the universe. And C is the speed of light, that unbreakable speed limit of the cosmos. Seems straightforward, but what if there's a hidden layer of meaning to each of those pieces? And this is where things get really interesting. The source we're looking at makes a bold claim that these three parts of the equation perfectly mirror a Trinitarian structure, a pattern of three that you see in a ton of ancient beliefs. Okay, so get this. This is the heart of the whole idea. Energy, E, is compared to the spirit, that invisible animating force. Mass, M, is seen as the word made real, the idea that you can actually touch and feel. And C squared, the speed of light, that's the big one. It's seen as the eternal source, the constant, unchanging foundation of reality, the Father in many traditions. And here's the kicker. The equation works both ways, right? Energy can become mass, mass can become energy. So according to this view, it's not describing three separate things at all. It's describing one thing, a perfect flowing unity, a single essence showing up in three different ways. The physics of echad, the Hebrew word for that kind of divine oneness. Okay, that's the equation. But how does this idea expand? Let's zoom out and see how this same concept is applied to the creation of, well, the entire universe. The source even points to the word universe itself. If you break it down, universus in Latin means turned into one verse, one single sentence. So the idea is that all of creation isn't just a jumble of stuff. It's one single coherent statement. And that brings us to maybe the most famous line of all time, let there be light. We all know it. But what if we've been thinking about it all wrong? The argument here is that this wasn't a command shouted into an empty void. It wasn't about making something from nothing. It was more like an act of self-revelation. If the infinite is light, then let there be light was the moment that unseeable, eternal source decided to make itself observable, to step into our reality of space and time. So, if that's the beginning, what about the end? This leads us to the end of the universe. Or is it an end? The source has a pretty radical take on entropy and what we call heat death. Usually, when we think of heat death, it's pretty grim, right? A cold, empty, cosmic graveyard. The end. But this perspective flips that completely. It's not a death, it's a cosmic Sabbath, a perfect rest. Imagine the universe not empty, but totally full, a uniform sea of light. Not dead, but just holding its breath. And here's where it gets wild. That perfect stillness, it's fundamentally unstable. Quantum physics tells us that perfect, absolute nothingness can't exist. There's always a little fizz of energy. So in that perfect sea of light, one tiny little fluctuation is basically guaranteed to happen. And that one tiny ripple is all you need to kickstart the whole thing over again. The next Genesis, a new Big Bang. Okay, but hold on. What about everything that was in our universe? All the history, the art, the memories, all that information. Does it just get wiped clean? Well, not so fast. This is where information theory enters the picture. There's this really cool scientific concept called Landauer's principle. And it basically says that information is physical. It's not just an idea in your head. To delete even one tiny bit of information, like a 1 or a 0 on a computer, you have to use up a real, measurable amount of energy. It connects information directly to the physical universe. So, let's follow the breadcrumbs here. 1. Erasing information costs energy. 2. That means information itself is physical. 3. We know from our old friend E equals mc squared that energy can't be destroyed. So, what's the logical conclusion? According to this source, it means information can never be truly destroyed either. It just gets spread out. infinitely thin, into that final sea of light. The cosmic memory remains. Okay, let's put all the pieces together. What we're left with is this vision of reality that's cyclical, it's interconnected, and it's a place where physics and theology seem to be speaking the same language. Think about that pattern of three we talked about. It just keeps popping up. In theology, you get spirit, word, source. In the physics we've discussed, it's energy, matter, light. And poetically, you could call it breath, form, and father. It's the same fundamental pattern, just wearing different clothes. And this is the part that really brings it home. Why does any of this matter to you and me? The source suggests this massive cosmic rhythm is happening inside our own heads. Just think about it. When you're trying to solve a problem, what happens? First, there's all this chaos and confusion, right? A kind of mental static. And then, suddenly, clarity, revelation. That rhythm of chaos followed by insight, it's the same pattern. It suggests the way the universe works isn't some far-off thing. It's how we work, too. So, in the end, we're left with this really beautiful idea that the end of the universe isn't an ending at all. It's not a funeral. It's the silence before the next word is spoken. It's that moment when all of reality, all of that information, is gathered back into one, holding its breath, just waiting for the command that starts the whole incredible cycle all over again.